to the Advanced Weekly Update. I'm John.
I'm Peter.
And we're here to talk about being a CEO.
Yes.
So a CEO stands for the Chief Executive Officer. Executive is a word you probably know already, but if we use that as a verb, to execute, it can have two different meanings, right?
Right. You execute someone, usually, that in movies, that's like a killing of some sort. He was executed. A gangland execution. But execute in everyday language just means to do something. You have a plan, and then you put the plan into motion. You execute the plan.
That's right. So the person who is the executive is the one that makes the final operating decisions for a company. They don't do everything. In the U.S., we have three branches of government. The legislative, the Congress, the ones that make the laws, legislative, the judicial, the ones that actually write the laws, the judges, the Supreme Court. And
the judges don't write the laws. Congress, legislature writes the laws.
Rewind. Right. Thank you. This is why we need Peter here.
The judiciary enforces the laws, determines questions that arise from the execution of the laws. And then the third branch, of course.
The executive, the president, the vice president, and his staff. So the one that makes those calls and is really the head of the military and can make special orders, the executive branch. So the president is kind of like the CEO of the United States.
Yes.
Now, and it works a little bit differently in other countries. But the chief executive officer, everyone knows the acronym CEO, right? There are other acronyms we were just talking about.
Right. There's CFO, Chief Financial Officer. There's the COO, Chief Operations Officer.
The coup.
Yes, if you were the coup of a company.
And there are many different titles depending on the company. But we think of CEOs because they're always in the news, it seems like. Let's go to our poll question today. I put some famous CEOs, and this is not a complete list of the top CEOs, but I think these are some of the more famous names in our time. Which of these CEOs is the best, in your opinion? Is it Bill Gates? Is it Elon Musk? Is it Mark Zuckerberg, or is it the CEO of your company? You get to decide. The power is in your hands.
And I'd like to introduce myself as a write-in candidate.
Okay, yeah, you can vote. A write-in candidate is when there is an election and you can put in your own name or someone else's name and vote for them at the last minute. Okay, so what can we say about some of these CEOs? I probably hear the most about Elon Musk these days. My news feed gives me a lot of articles about Starlink and SpaceX, right? Yes. Elon Musk is the CEO of a number of very interesting companies. Tesla, SpaceX, The Boring Company, and some of them are owned by others. But what do you have to say about Elon Musk? Do you read a lot about him?
I hear about him. I follow the headlines.
Yeah,
I don't necessarily read all the articles, but I have a general sense of what he's doing. It's fascinating, really, because he has some of the most interesting companies out there, like SpaceX, but also some of the most boring companies out there.
They did sell flamethrowers the other day as a fundraiser. The other day, like 3 years ago.
Great. They're making progress.
Yeah, so flamethrowers, all this stuff. Elon Musk is he has an interesting leadership style, and it is decidedly different from other CEOs. We were talking earlier about how there are at least two competing visions for what a CEO is, right? There is the classic, represented by Peter. He wears a suit and tie. He's the big boss on Wall Street, very, very clean, very sharp, very professional. But in recent times, there's been this other CEO model, and that is the Bill Gates CEO. Wears glasses, dressed down, maybe even wears sandals to the office, is a casual, friendly CEO who leads in a different way. The presentation is different.
Yeah, it's more laid back. It's more relaxed. It's in America, in fact, it's often a very East Coast, West Coast thing. You'll find the sandal-wearing CEO more often in West Coast-based companies and the traditional sort of Wall Street-style CEO back east where Wall Street is in New York City, Boston, Washington, D.C.
Yeah. Now, do you have a preference? Let's really quick bring up our discussion question. who is a leader who you admire and why? I want to hear from you, and we can talk about the leaders you care about. We'll go to that in a moment, but please comment in below. Do you have a preference in terms of working under a leadership style?
I think I like to work under a leadership who is effective. I'm interested in different styles.
Yeah.
I used to work in a bank many, many years ago, which was a more traditional East Coast style of leadership. But I've also worked in theater as well, which has a completely different kind of leadership style. So I've kind of had a bit of the both. And I think, whichever, if they work, great.
Yeah, so true. A lot of it has to do with teamwork underneath a leadership style. So a leader requires followers to be effective, right?
Yes.
So if the leadership style doesn't match the company culture, then the leader can deal with conflict and will be less effective.
Right.
Versus a leader who meshes well with the company.
Right. A good leader will always inspire his or her employees more than discipline them, more than correct them. That's part of being a leader too, of course. But if you give the people who work for you a vision, a compelling vision of what you're doing, what the company's doing, what they're helping you do, then that's one of the main parts of being a good leader.
That's right. So there is this famous quote about leaders that a good leader lays down their life for their followers. It's actually from the Bible, where a person who is a really, really effective and quality leader, someone who is trusted by their followers, by their employees, is a leader who will actually take care of you, right? They'll be willing to put your needs and priorities first and correct you when you're wrong. That's the kind of leader you can always trust. You really want them to correct you because you know that they care about you more than they're just trying to kind of get something from you and then use you and throw you away.
Right. Yeah. And then you know that there are things that mean something to them and things that don't. And if you're doing one of the things that don't, they'll point that out and say, no, wait, we want to be doing this. It shows that they care.
That's right.
Now, of course, that nobody's perfect and leaders can sometimes abuse the power that they have over their employees. But maybe that's a conversation for another time.
Well, we'll talk about Elon Musk's takeover of Twitter probably more extensively after everything has settled in a few months. But he had an interesting leadership style where he came in and totally changed the whole infrastructure. His goal was to make Twitter profitable, but it did involve massive layoffs and this huge upheaval. So was that effective? Was that the right decision? If you've got an opinion, we'd love to hear it. It looks like Bill Gates, Bill Gates is winning by a landslide. The CEO of your company is also number 2, so that's good. Mark Zuckerberg, he's got no votes on the board right now. Everyone vote in there. If you're a Meta fan, maybe you're watching this on your Meta Quest Pro right now. Is that the name of it, the Quest Pro?
Sounds good.
Sounds good. We're going with that. That's the new one from Meta. Elon Musk has a few votes in there. Okay, Bill Gates, he has established a position not only as the previous CEO of Microsoft. I was about to say Apple.
I know.
I was about to say
they tend to run together in the head sometimes.
But he's actually focused more on philanthropy these days, right? The Bill and his wife's name. Help me out here.
It used to be Melinda. I think they got divorced. Actually, I'm not sure if he's married at the moment.
The Gates Foundation. So, all right, Evangeline. Hi, I admire Doris, the best leader. Yes, because she is always passionate, energetic, fearless of difficulty, most important for a good cause, what she does. It's absolutely true. Doris has an amazing drive and is a great leader because she is dedicated. We talked about this vision. So Doris has had this vision of serving Taiwan through bringing the love of Jesus and she brings a certain joy to English teaching. We know English isn't always the most exciting, but when it's for a good reason to make friends for life, it actually I really do enjoy the style and the vision that Doris has brought to ORTV as well. I vote for Doris, so the CEO of our company is now number 1. Who is a leader that you admire? We'd love to hear. Do you have any favorite leaders?
I do, actually. I had a leader of my cross-country team in high school. Cross-country, that's where you run a race that's like 3 or 5 kilometers long, not just a sprint. He was our coach. He was also a physics teacher at the high school. But as a coach, one time I was running a race. I ran competitively, and I was behind a couple of guys in the race, and he could see where I was doing because of the way the course was kind of twisty windy. He could watch me at one point and then run over and watch me at another point, so he could encourage me throughout the race. And at one point he said, "Peter, take those two guys ahead of you. Take them now." He'd been telling me before, take those guys, you can take them. Finally, he said, take them now, you can take them, even if they get you back, even if you can't hold the lead, take them anyway, because he was so confident. He could see something I couldn't, that I could take those guys.
Yeah.
But he gave me permission to fail. He said, even if they take you, even if you can't hold the lead, go ahead, take them. In other words, I'll take the blame if you can't do it. And to me, that was, like you said, the leader laying himself down for his people, for his employees, for his followers.
Yeah. It's a really good point. When you can trust that a leader, even if you're not perfect, they will still support you. There's a lot that can be said there because it gives you extra confidence and actually improves performance. We've got a comment. Hi, Mary. Mary chooses Bill Gates, and you say, because he makes me feel that rich is a good thing. I can help more people make the world better. Bill Gates, it's interesting. He is so incredibly wealthy.
He used to be the Elon Musk of his day.
Yeah, that's right.
My day, I guess. Yeah.
The Elon Musk of his day. And what can be said? He certainly has invested in a lot of things with infrastructure. Time is up for now. We'll leave you with this thought. Does the world need billionaires? One author argued that without billionaires,